I was heavy, not in body, in soul, weighted down by everything I owned, everything I carried, everything I thought I needed to be someone. My name was Kamau, merchant of Moreau, and when people heard that name, they saw gold. They saw success. They saw a man who had made something of himself, a man who started with nothing and built everything. That's what I told myself every morning, every night. I am successful. I am wealthy. I am valuable. But the truth I never admitted. I was terrified, terrified of losing it, terrified of becoming nothing again, terrified that without my gold, without my goods, without my reputation, I would be empty. I owned 3 houses. Why? I didn't live in 3 houses. I lived in one. The others just sat there. Proof. Proof I was successful. Proof I had made it. Proof I was someone. I owned 17 camels, trading camels. Why 17? I didn't need 17. I needed maybe 5. But 17 sounded better. 17 meant I was serious, meant I was important, meant I was more. My storerooms were full, floor to ceiling, fabrics from everywhere, Persian silk, Egyptian cotton, Greek wool, pottery, jewelry, spices, goods I hadn't even looked at in years, just sitting there, accumulating, proof of my worth, proof of my value, proof I was enough. But I wasn't enough, not really, because no matter how much I had, it never felt like enough. There was always more to get, always another deal to make, always another merchant to compete with, always this voice, this hungry voice, whispering, more. You need more. More means you're valuable. More means you're safe. More means you're real. My wife knew. Amani. She watched me count my gold every night. Actually count it. Not because I needed to know how much I had. I knew exactly how much I had, down to the last coin. I counted it because touching it made it real, made me real, made me believe I existed. Kamau, she said one night, soft, careful. When will it be enough? I looked at her, confused. What do you mean? The gold, she said. The goods, the houses, the counting. When will you have enough to stop? Stop? The word didn't make sense. Stop accumulating, stop proving, stop becoming more? Why would I stop? Stopping meant going backward. Stopping meant accepting where I was. And where I was never enough, could never be enough, would never be safe. I'm building security. No, I told her, for us, for our future. This is what a man does. He provides. He accumulates. He makes sure his family is protected. She looked at me with eyes that saw too much. Protected from what? I didn't answer because I didn't know. Protected from poverty? From being nothing? From being the boy I used to be who had nothing and was nothing and felt like nothing? That boy. I hated that boy. The one who wore torn clothes and ate scraps and watched wealthy merchants pass by and thought, someday I'll be like them. Someday I'll have what they have. Someday I'll be valuable. And I did it. I became that merchant. I accumulated that wealth. I earned that respect. But The boy, the boy was still inside, still terrified, still convinced that everything could disappear, that I could become nothing again, that all of this was temporary, fragile, one mistake away from loss. So I held tight, gripped hard, controlled everything, every coin, every transaction, every possession, mine, all mine. I owned them. They proved I existed. They proved I mattered. They proved I was real. But the weight, God, the weight. Do you know what it's like to carry that much? Not just physical weight, but psychological weight. The weight of protecting it all, managing it all, worrying about it all, obsessing over it all. The weight of believing your entire existence depends on things, objects, possessions, gold. It's exhausting. I was exhausted all the time, but I couldn't stop. Stopping meant losing, and losing meant nothing. And nothing was the one thing I absolutely could not be. Because nothing has no value. Nothing doesn't matter. Nothing is invisible. I planned another trading journey, north to Egypt. Big deal, important connections, chance to double my wealth, maybe triple it. My caravan would be the largest I'd ever assembled, the most valuable, the most impressive. Amani watched me prepare, watched me obsess over every detail, watched me load 17 camels with goods I had accumulated just for this. And she asked, "Do you have to go? Do you have to risk everything again?" "I'm not risking anything," I said, annoyed. "This is business. This is what I do. This is who I am." "No," she said quietly, "this is what you have, not who you are." I didn't listen, couldn't listen, because if what I had wasn't who I was, then who was I? Without my gold, without my goods, without my success, what remained? What was left? What was I really? I didn't want to know, didn't want to face that question, didn't want to discover the answer, so I left. Before dawn, with my 17 camels, my valuable cargo, my proof of existence, my everything. The desert stretched before me, beautiful, deadly, empty, and I walked into it, weighted down, surrounded by possessions, protected by accumulation, certain that all of this made me someone. I was wrong. 3 days into the desert, everything was fine, normal. The caravan moved steadily. My workers knew their jobs. The camels carried their loads. The sun rose and set. Everything controlled, managed, safe. And then the horizon changed. At first, it was just a line, dark line, far away. I thought it was clouds, maybe rain, but Tarek, my lead worker, he stopped, stared, and his face went pale. "Storm," he said. One word, flat, terrified. I looked at him, then at the dark line growing bigger. "We have time," I said. "We can—" "No," he interrupted. "We have no time. That's not a storm. That's the eater. That's the one that swallows everything." I'd heard stories, every merchant had, about sandstorms so violent they could bury entire caravans, about winds so strong they could strip flesh from bone, about people who walked into them and disappeared, just gone, like they never existed. But I was in control. I was prepared. I had planned for contingencies. I knew what to do. "We secure the cargo," I commanded. "Double tie everything. Protect the valuable goods. We can weather this." Tarek looked at me like I was insane. "Secure the cargo? Sir, we need to secure ourselves. The cargo doesn't matter if we're—" "Everything matters, Stummer," I shouted. "Everything here is valuable. Everything here is important. We don't abandon it. We don't lose it. We protect it." He nodded, slowly, hopelessly, and started shouting orders. The other workers scrambled, tying down loads, securing camels, covering goods, preparing for something we couldn't prepare for. The storm hit, not gradually, not with warning, just hit. One moment there was air, the next moment there was sand, sand in the air, sand that was the air, sand that became everything. Visibility dropped to nothing. The world disappeared, replaced by brown chaos, by wind that screamed, by particles that cut like knives. I held the lead camel's rope, gripped it, refused to let go, because that rope connected me to my cargo, to my goods, to my value. If I let go, if I lost the caravan, I lost everything. I lost myself. The wind pulled hard, harder. The camel panicked, reared, jerked the rope. I held tighter, felt the skin on my palms tear, felt blood mix with sand, felt my whole body being lifted, dragged, pulled into the screaming void. And then the rope slipped, just slipped, through my bloody fingers, through my desperate grip, through my absolute refusal to let go. It slipped anyway. Gone. I couldn't see it, couldn't hear it, couldn't find it. The camel, the cargo, the first piece of everything, gone, swallowed by sand and wind and chaos that didn't care about my control, about my plans, about my desperate need to hold on. I stumbled forward, searching, reaching, grabbing at nothing, at sand, at air, at emptiness. I had to find it, had to recover it, had to get it back, because without it, without my cargo, without my proof of value, what was I? Another camel appeared, briefly, in the swirling brown. I lunged for it, grabbed its saddle, started checking the load, making sure the goods were secure, making sure nothing was lost, making sure I still had something. The wind tore the fabric cover off, just ripped it away. And the goods, beautiful Persian silks, they lifted like birds, like ghosts, like dreams, and flew into the storm, into the void, into gone. "No!" I screamed. "No, no, 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 no." But the wind didn't care. The sand didn't listen. The storm didn't stop for my desperation, my grief, my terror. It just took and took and took. The camel bolted, ripped away from me, disappeared into the brown chaos. Another one gone, another piece of my wealth, my security, my self. I fell onto sand, into sand. I couldn't see, couldn't breathe, couldn't think, just felt things being ripped away, heard rope snapping, fabric tearing, wood breaking, the sound of everything I owned being destroyed. scattered, buried, lost. And underneath the wind, underneath the chaos, I heard something else, something worse. Silence, human silence. My workers, where were they? Were they still here? Were they alive? Were they gone like everything else was going? I called out, "Tarek, anyone, where?" Sand filled my mouth, my throat, my lungs. I coughed, choked, couldn't speak, couldn't call, couldn't connect, just suffered, alone, blind, drowning in air that had become solid, in a world that had become hostile, in circumstances that absolutely did not care about what I needed or wanted or desperately tried to control. Time disappeared. Could have been minutes, could have been hours, could have been forever. There was no reference, no distinction, just brown, just wind, just the relentless sound of everything being taken. And then it stopped. Not gradually, just stopped. The wind died, the sand settled, the air cleared, and I could see nothing. That's what I saw. Nothing. Empty desert, smooth sand, no caravan, no camels, no workers, no goods, no cargo, no anything, just me, lying in sand, covered in blood and dirt and the remains of my shredded clothes. Everything was gone. Everything. I stood, spun around, looked in every direction, searched for any sign of anything. A camel, a worker, a piece of cargo, a rope, a fragment, something, anything, nothing. The desert had swallowed it all, consumed it, buried it, taken it somewhere I couldn't reach, couldn't find, couldn't recover, and I was alone, with nothing, in the middle of nowhere, facing the one thing I had spent my entire adult life terrified of facing, being nothing. Day one alone. I walked, no direction, no plan, just walked, because staying still felt like dying, moving felt like trying, still believing I could fix this, find something, get back to normal, but there was no normal, no fixing, no going back, just forward, into more emptiness, more sand, more nothing. I had no water. The workers had carried the water, gone, no food. The supplies had been on the camels, gone. No direction, the guide had known the way, gone. I was naked, not literally, but essentially, stripped of everything except breath and heartbeat and this body that kept walking even though it had no reason to. Day two, the panic set in, real panic, body panic, mind panic, the panic of realizing I'm going to die here, alone, with nothing, having lost everything, having become exactly what I feared. My throat was raw, dry. Every swallow felt like knives. My lips cracked, bled. My skin burned under relentless sun. No shade, no protection, no relief, just exposure, complete exposure to heat, to pain, to the absolute indifference of nature to my suffering. I thought about Amani, about my houses, about my storerooms full of goods, and I laughed, actually laughed, a horrible cracked sound, because what good were 3 houses when I had no water? What value was gold when I couldn't drink it? What worth was reputation when no one was here to see me? What meaning was any of it when I was here, dying, with nothing, all that accumulation, all that obsession, all that desperate holding on? For what? For this? To die in sand? To have it all taken away? To discover that none of it could save me? I hated myself, hated what I'd become, hated that I'd wasted years accumulating things that disappeared in one storm, hated that I'd ignored Amani's question, hated that I'd never learned to be enough without more. Day 3. I stopped walking, just stopped, sat down in the sand, gave up, not because I chose to, because my body chose for me. No strength left, no energy, no will, just done. I sat there, waiting to die, expecting it, almost welcoming it, because at least death would end this suffering, this exposure, this horrible confrontation with the truth I'd spent my whole life avoiding. I am nothing without my possessions. I am nothing without my wealth. I am nothing without my reputation. I am nothing. I thought those things made me, gave me substance, gave me reality, but they were never me. They were just things, separate from me, able to be taken, able to disappear, leaving this, whatever this is, this empty thing that breathes but has no value, no purpose, no identity. The sun set. I watched it, watched colors paint the sand, beautiful, terribly beautiful, and I thought, this is the last sunset. Tomorrow I'll be too weak to see, or I'll be dead, and no one will know, no one will care. I'll just disappear, like I never existed, like all my accumulation was a dream, a lie, a desperate attempt to be real that failed. I lay back, looked at stars appearing, so many stars, infinite stars, and I felt small. Not just physically small, existentially small, cosmically small, completely, utterly, devastatingly insignificant. But then something shifted. In that smallness, in that insignificance, in that total loss of everything I thought I was, something shifted. I was still breathing. Why? Why was I still breathing? What was doing the breathing? My gold wasn't breathing. My goods weren't breathing. My reputation wasn't breathing. But something was. Something that existed independent of all that. Something that remained when everything else was gone. What was that? What was this thing, this presence, this awareness that was still here, still experiencing, still being? I sat up, slowly, looked at my hands, covered in dried blood and sand, not the hands that counted gold, not the hands that controlled cargo, just hands, flesh and bone, and somehow still functioning, still here, still real. I touched my chest, felt heartbeat, steady, reliable, had been beating this whole time, through the storm, through the loss, through the despair, just beating, doing what it does, being what it is, without needing gold to justify its rhythm. And I realized something that broke me open, that terrified me even more than dying, that changed everything while changing nothing. I am not my possessions, obviously, they're gone. But more than that, I never was my possessions. They were always separate, always temporary, always things. And I am something else. Something that exists whether I own things or don't own things. Something that breathes and feels and is aware regardless of external circumstances. But if I'm not my possessions, then what am I? Who am I? What's left when everything external is stripped away? I didn't know, still didn't know, but I was curious. For the first time in days, in years maybe, I was curious instead of terrified. I should have died, probably. By all logic, by all reason. 3 days without water in the desert. You die. That's the rule. That's what happens. But I didn't die. Maybe I was too stubborn. Maybe I was being kept alive for some reason. Maybe there is no maybe and I just got lucky. I don't know. But I didn't die. I found water, a tiny seep in rock. Barely anything, but enough. Drops. I licked them off stone like an animal, and they were perfect. More valuable than any gold I'd ever owned. More precious than any cargo I'd ever carried. Just water, being water, saving me. The value of nothing. That's what I started thinking about. Sitting in that sand, drinking drops from stone. The value of nothing. Water has no price when you have it. It's just there. Background, assumed, but in the desert, without it, it becomes everything, the only thing, the thing that separates living from dying. Not because it's valuable, because it's necessary, essential, true. And I realized I'd spent my whole life accumulating valuable things, things that had price but not necessity, things that elevated status but didn't sustain life, things that proved something to others but gave nothing to self. All that gold. Did it make me breathe better? No. Did it make me think clearer? No. Did it make me happier? No. It made me more anxious, more controlling, more obsessed with keeping it, with protecting it, with proving I deserved it. I was a slave to my possessions. They didn't serve me. I served them, worked for them, worried about them, sacrificed for them. And what did I get in return? Weight, burden, the constant terror of loss, the endless hunger for more. But here, with nothing, I was free. Not comfortable, not happy, not satisfied, but free. Free from the weight, free from the obsession, free from the desperate need to prove something, to be something, to have something. I sat there for hours, maybe, just sat, watching sand, watching sky, watching my own thoughts rise and fall like breath. And I saw them clearly for the first time, saw how they created suffering, how they invented problems, how they convinced me I needed things I didn't need, how they made me believe I was what I owned instead of what I am. And what am I? When everything is stripped away, when all the external markers are gone, when there's no one to impress, nothing to prove, no role to play, I am awareness. That's it. That's all. Just awareness, consciousness, the thing that watches thoughts, the thing that feels sensations, the thing that experiences experience, not the thoughts themselves, not the sensations themselves, not the experiences themselves, but the space in which they all happen, the presence that remains when everything else changes. That presence doesn't need possessions, doesn't have price, doesn't increase with gold or decrease with poverty. It just is, always, has always been. will always be, unchanged, unshakable, already complete. I am already complete. The thought hit me like lightning, like revelation, like something obvious that I'd somehow never seen. I am already complete. I was complete when I had everything. I am complete now with nothing. My completeness never depended on external circumstances. It was always there, always whole. I just couldn't see it, couldn't feel it, couldn't know it because I was too busy trying to create it through accumulation. But you can't create what already exists. You can only recognize it, accept it, rest in it. I laughed, actually laughed. Clear sound, not cracked like days before, but genuine, free, joyful somehow, because it was so ridiculous, so absurd. I'd spent decades accumulating things to prove I was valuable, to make myself complete, to become enough. And all along I already was, always had been, just by being alive, by breathing, by being this awareness that experiences everything. The possessions were never the problem. Having things isn't wrong. Wanting comfort isn't wrong, but the attachment, the belief that they make you, the terror of losing them, that's the prison, that's the suffering, that's the weight that crushes. I looked at my empty hands, open, relaxed, nothing in them, nothing to hold, nothing to protect, and they were beautiful, just hands, being hands, not needing to grasp, not needing to prove, just being. This is freedom, not having nothing, but not needing anything, not renouncing the world, but not being enslaved by it, not rejecting wealth, but not identifying with it, being unattached, open, free, complete, with or without, already whole, whether full or empty. I stood up, felt strength returning, not physical strength, not yet, but something else, something deeper, some internal stability that didn't depend on external security, some core that couldn't be taken, couldn't be lost, couldn't be destroyed by any storm because it was never made of anything that could be destroyed. I started walking, different walk than before, not desperate, not panicked, not searching, just walking. One step, another step, trusting that wherever I was going was where I needed to go, that whatever happened was what needed to happen, that I would either survive or not, and either way, the awareness that I am would continue, because it always does, because it can't not. The desert stretched forever, and I walked through it, carrying nothing, needing nothing, being nothing, and discovering that nothing is everything. I survived, obviously. You're hearing this story, so I survived. A caravan found me, 5 days after the storm, half dead, completely changed. They gave me water, food, clothes, brought me back to Meroe. And I returned empty, literally empty. No cargo, no goods, no gold, nothing. The wealthy merchant who left returned as nothing. People stared, whispered, pitied me. Some were glad. Competitors who saw my failure as their opportunity. Some were sad. Friends who mourned my loss. All of them saw the same thing. Kamau, the merchant, destroyed, ruined, reduced to nothing. But I didn't feel destroyed. I felt light, unburdened, free, like I'd been carrying enormous weight my entire life and finally put it down, finally stopped, finally rested. Amani saw me coming, ran to me, held me, cried, "I thought you were dead," she sobbed. "I thought I'd lost you." "You did," I said gently. "You lost the me that left. That one died in the desert. This is someone else." She pulled back, looked at me, studied my face, and slowly, she smiled. "You're lighter," she said. "Your eyes are clear. What happened?" "I lost everything," I said, "and found what remains." My creditors came, immediately demanding payment, demanding compensation for the lost goods, many of which I'd bought on credit, on promises of return, on the assumption that I'd come back wealthier, but I came back with nothing, owing everything, technically ruined. "Take the houses," I said. "Simple, clear, no struggle. Take the storerooms, take whatever I have left, divide it, I don't need it." They looked at me like I was insane. "You don't need it? Kamau, these are your assets, your security, my weight," I interrupted. "My burden, my cage, take them, I'm done carrying." And they did. They took the houses, sold them, divided my storerooms, took everything I'd accumulated over decades, everything I'd obsessed over, everything I'd believed made me someone. And I felt relief, pure relief, like watching chains fall off, like being released from prison, like taking off armor I didn't know I was wearing. Other merchants avoided me, afraid my failure was contagious, afraid that if they got too close, they'd lose everything too. They didn't understand. I didn't lose. I was freed. They were still in prison, still accumulating, still afraid, still believing their possessions made them real. I took a small room, bare walls, simple mat, one cup, one bowl. That's it. That's all. And it was enough. More than enough. Perfect. People thought I was broken, defeated, given up. But I'd never been more awake, more present, more alive. Everything was more. Food tasted more. Water felt more. Breath was more. Not because they were different, because I was different. Because I wasn't comparing them to something else. Wasn't thinking about what I didn't have. Wasn't worried about losing them. Just experiencing them fully, completely, now. A young merchant came to me, ambitious, driven, reminded me of myself. "Sir," he said hesitantly, "people say you lost everything, that you're finished, but you don't seem finished. You seem, I don't know, different. Can you tell me what happened?" I looked at him, at his expensive clothes, his gold rings, his carefully maintained appearance, and I saw myself, years ago, desperate to be someone, terrified of being nothing. "I learned," I said slowly, "that the value of nothing is everything." He frowned, confused. "I don't understand." "You will," I said. "Someday, when the storm comes, when everything is taken, when you're stripped down to just breath and awareness, and the question, 'What am I?' then you'll understand. The value of nothing is freedom, space, openness, being unattached to what changes, resting in what doesn't, knowing you are already complete, already whole, already valuable. Not because of what you own, but because of what you are, which is awareness, presence, consciousness itself. He stared at me, not understanding, not yet, but something in his eyes, something shifted, some question planted, some seed dropped that would grow, eventually, when his time came. I still work, still trade, but differently. I take small jobs, carry messages, transport goods for others, earn enough to eat, to live simply, and I'm happy. Not fake happy, not pretend happy, actually happy, content, at peace, because I discovered the secret, the thing everyone is searching for, the thing I spent decades trying to find through accumulation, the thing that was always here, always available, always free. You are not what you own. You are not what you accumulate. You are not what you achieve. You are the awareness experiencing all of that. The consciousness watching it all happen. The presence that remains when everything else changes. And that needs nothing, has no price, can't be taken, can't be lost, can't be destroyed. It is already complete, already whole, already valuable beyond measure. The value of nothing is everything. Because when you need nothing, you have everything. When you're attached to nothing, you're free for everything. When you identify with nothing, you are everything. I walk through the marketplace now, past my old stall, now occupied by someone else, selling goods, accumulating wealth, believing it makes them someone, and I smile. Not from superiority, from compassion, because I know I've walked that path. I've lived that lie. I've carried that weight, and I know. Eventually, the storm comes. Eventually, everything is taken. Eventually, you face the question, what remains? And the answer, the beautiful, terrible, liberating answer, is nothing. And that nothing is enough, more than enough. It's everything you ever needed, everything you ever were, everything you ever will be. I am 53 now, silver-haired, weathered, owning almost nothing. And I am rich, truly rich, not in gold, in peace, in freedom, in the unshakable, knowing that I am complete. Always was, always will be. The desert taught me, the storm freed me, the loss saved me, and now I walk through life carrying nothing, needing nothing, being nothing, which is the same as being everything, which is the same as being free, which is the same as being home. The value of nothing is everything. Remember that. When the storm comes, when everything is taken, when you're stripped down to essence, remember, you are still there, still breathing, still aware, still complete. And that is all you ever needed. That is all you ever were. That is all you ever will be. Nothing, everything, same thing, just depends on whether you're attached or free. And freedom is choosing nothing and discovering it's everything.